Shannon Cogan with Wave 3 News in Louisville.
And I'm Bill Bryant from WKYT in Lexington. We're glad.
Okay, Kentucky, I want you to pay attention to this, because what it looks like to me is that when finally Geoff Young gets into the debates, because Kentucky doesn't believe in democracy, so they're not going to have fair debates. You're not going to have, public finance election, instant runoff voting, nor will you ever get initiative, referendum, or recall with any of these governor's candidates. But check out this distortion. It looks like they distorted Geoff Young's feed intentionally, and then later on realized that they couldn't keep on distorting the feed, so they stopped doing it. But it looks like to me that they distorted Geoff Young's feed intentionally. So first I want to give credit to Shannon Cogan, Wave 3 in Louisville, and Bill Bryan, WKYT Lexington, the UK, and the League of Women Voters. Even though Geoff Young is constitutionally qualified, Geoff Young is constitutionally qualified to run for governor, they have not included him in any of the debates.
Kentucky.
And those candidates are Attorney General Andy Beshear, former State Auditor Adam Edlin, House Minority Floor Leader Rocky Adkins, and Geoff Young, retired state worker and environmental activist.
And then they'll point to funding, and then they'll point to polls. So if you're not getting bribed, you got to get bribes. You got to get legal bribes in order to be taken as a credible candidate in Kentucky. And not only do you got to take a bunch of fucking bribes, because it's money and polls, but the polls have been wrong. The polls are wrong with Conway and Bevin. The polls are wrong with Donald and Hillary. So those are the two indications of whether or not you can get into the debates. There's only 4 candidates. Why can't you have a civil discussion with 4 candidates?
Mr. Beshear, one of you will likely take on Governor Matt Bevin in the general election, whoever is the winner of that primary, but Republicans hold supermajorities in the Kentucky legislature. 7 of Kentucky's 8 seats in the Washington delegation are GOP. President Trump easily carried the Commonwealth in 2016. How can you win as a Democratic nominee in an increasingly Republican trending state?
Well, Bill, Shannon, thank you for having me. My name is Andy Beshear, and I'm going to win this election because I'm a fighter that gets results. All across this state, we know we desperately have to beat Matt Bevin.
So here's a couple of clips which shows that the microphone was fine when they were introducing the candidates. The microphone was fine when it went to Rocky Atkins, and when it went to Andy Beshear and Adam Edlin, they all had no problems with their microphones. And then after this first distortion of his first question, then it doesn't get distorted for the rest of the time. So take a look.
It's ending Kentucky's rape kit backlog. It's being the most aggressive attorney general in the country at suing opioid manufacturers. It's returning nearly $2 million to seniors that had that money scammed from them. I'm the candidate that gets results.
Mr. Edlin.
Bill, I think it's altogether appropriate that we're having a debate about the future of Kentucky on the campus of the University of Kentucky, my alma mater, and I think the place that really does represent so much of what the future holds for Matt Bevin, though that is a heck of a fringe benefit. I'm running for governor for the opportunity to build a modern Kentucky where we can be relevant to the opportunities of the 21st century.
Matt Bevin in November. I come from a rural part of this state, but I am proud of my public service in the Kentucky General Assembly. And because of that experience and that proven leadership, I bring that to the table. In November, when I win this primary, I can bring those votes from the rural areas and the urban areas of this great Commonwealth to win in November.
Mr. Young.
Thank you, Bill and Shannon. My name is Geoff Young. Our website is Young for Kentucky, YOUNG4KY.com. Question is, how can a Democrat win? Well, the only way a Democrat can win in Kentucky is by clearing up the serious corruption problem at the very top of the Kentucky Democratic Party, KDP. I have been fighting for 4 years. I ran for...
Our apologies, yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can. Thank
All
you
right.
so much.
I ran for governor in 2015 against Jack Conway. And this is working. In he didn't have to cheat in 2015, but he did. This year we have a conspiracy of Democrats that includes Andy Beshear and Adam Edelin, and they are crooks. They are rigging this primary election like they've done for the last 4 years. They do not believe in democracy within the Democratic Party.
Right time, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
So the reason why they discriminate against Geoff Young is because he's an actual progressive. When you include him into the debate, he speaks very reasonable and he's very progressive. So because you have a truth teller, well, you can't have somebody out there telling the truth, right? You're a politician and you're going to get things done and you're going to do the things the right way, the way that Kentucky needs. So you have to, put that political bullshit in. He talks very conversational. Geoff Young does. So the reason why they haven't included him in the debates is because he's an actual progressive. So when he talks and they distort his feed, I'm going to tell you exactly what he was saying when they distorted the feed, just so it's very clear what he was saying. You're going to you're going to cut him out of the debate when he's in the debate. So what Geoff Young was talking about, they asked him, how's he going to beat Matt Bevin? And he says he's going to beat Matt Bevin by cleaning up the Democratic Party. So that's like, what, drain the swamp, right? So you're going to clean up the corruption from the Democratic Party, from the top of the Democratic Party. Geoff Young talked about when he ran against Jack Conway in 2015. He was the only candidate who ran against Jack Conway. Jack Conway was beating Geoff Young in the polls by 80%. He had all of his endorsements like 6 months out, and so Jack Conway was just the establishment pick. He was the establishment pick, and he had no opposition. So Jack Conway didn't have to cheat. Jack Conway could have talked to little Geoff Young about the issues of Kentucky. Jack Conway could have done that, but Jack Conway was running to the right. Jack Conway was going to be smart. He was going to out-Republican the Republicans. So he ran to the right on the Iraq War, on the Bush tax cuts, on the Patriot Act. So for a bunch of stuff, he ran to the right. Jack Conway ran as a conservative. And guess what? The Republican actually won. Not the fake Republican, not the Democrat acting like a Republican, but the Republican. And so this is the same tactic that you just see over and over again. They try to act like Republicans, and then they wind up losing. So Jack Conway didn't have to cheat in 2015. He could have included Geoff Young into the debates, into the discussion, but he didn't do that. He didn't do that. This is Kentucky. Kentucky is a bunch of Mitch McConnell taint gurglers. So Mitch McConnell has been doing dirty politics ever since he got in, ever since he sent those hound dogs to the Huddleston. So he had an ad where he was like, oh, where's he at? And he had these hound dogs. So it was an attack ad. And that's what got him into power in Kentucky, and then he's had power the entire time. When people talk about Mitch McConnell, they don't say, oh, he did such a good job with, this issue. No, he's just doing dirty politics. And so that's what's happening on the Republican side. Some aren't debating others, and the others aren't debating them, and then KET just cancels the whole damn thing.
To be able to work across party aisles, to be able to have the relationships within the General Assembly, to be a moderate, middle-of-the-road Democrat that not only has that experience, but to bring together those relationships to get bipartisan support and results for the people of Kentucky.
So what Geoff Young said is that there's a conspiracy of Democrats, which includes Adam Edelin and Andy Beshear. Both Adam Edelin and Andy Beshear are the presumptive front runners. And so he's saying that the Democratic Party, KDP, is excluding him from the debates because they don't believe in democracy. They don't believe in democracy within the Democratic Party. They're rigging the primary. They are cheating. They are cheating. They are rigging the primary. And so he says that the people who run KDP are crooked because of that. And he's absolutely right. He's absolutely right. So this includes Adam Edelin and Andy Beshear, and he called them crooks. So Geoff Young called Adam Edelin and Andy Beshear crooks. So that's what they had distorted, that there's a conspiracy of Democrats, that they're rigging the primary, they don't believe in democracy within the Democratic Party, and that they're crooks. So, and then after 1 minute, they went ahead and cut him off anyways, right? Well, you had 1 minute of distorted microphone time. Well, we gave you microphone time. Yeah, we distorted the shit out of it, and nobody could understand what you were saying, but you got your 1 minute. Next.
And if this is working, he didn't have to cheat in 2015, but he did. This year we have a conspiracy of Democrats that includes Andy Beshear and Adam Edlin, and they are crooks. They are rigging this primary election like they've done for the last 4 years. They do not believe in democracy within the Democratic Party.
Right time, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then here's just a couple other clips of the next question, which was about pensions. And Geoff Young kicked ass. If you watch the debates, Geoff Young was definitely the star. Geoff Young had good, sensible answers. And if people want to complain about him, complaining about the Kentucky Democratic Party, well, play fairly, you fucking pricks. Play fair, But again, they don't believe in public finance elections. They don't believe in instant runoff voting and initiative referendum recall. You get a petition that every single Kentuckian signs, that will not get on the ballot. And I don't see how you're not pissed off about that. Every single Kentucky signs a petition to, let's say, legalize marijuana. It won't even get put on the ballot. Nope, that's not how democracy works. You vote for the guy, and then he is supposed to represent you. You are not supposed to be a part of democracy whatsoever. So check out Geoff Young and watch the full debate, because his answers were clear and concise. So by ignoring him, by cutting him out of the conversation, you're really depriving the Kentucky people of a lot of good ideas and a sensible conversation on the issues.
The issue in our teachers' retirement system is a lack of funding. On the Kentucky retirement system, we've got a different set of issues, certainly impacted by chronic underfunding, certainly a victim of the Great Recession. But beyond that, for too long, this board has been populated by good old boy appointees from the governor who lack the stature and the credibility to effectively manage these organizations.
Said $3 million audit of the system, that we would put a pension oversight board in place, and that we would also have to put in more money. We did that. Because of that bipartisan help and agreement, and because of those stakeholders at the table, we passed a bill that's getting results. Over the last 2 years, the Kentucky retirement system, from its investments, has earned over $2.4 billion. The teacher retirement system earned last year 15.5%, last year 18.4%. Keep the reform at the table.
Mr. Young.
I agree with Rocky Adkins that a great deal of structural change is not needed in the pension system. What we really have is a political problem. It has to be funded. And in order to do that, we have to increase the revenue to the general fund. And as a Bernie Sanders Democrat, I propose that the main way to do that is to tax the rich. Kentucky is one of the worst states when it comes to taxing the poor, working people, and middle class. We have to make our income tax system structure more progressive, especially at the highest income brackets. And Minnesota did it, and it worked fine. They solved a lot of their budget problems by increasing the tax rate on the richest citizens from only 6% to 9%.
Hey folks, this is Michael Brown with Take Back Kentucky, and we had a question that we wanted to ask the candidates that we kind of forgot at our last meeting. I'm here with Senator Schroeder, who's running for Attorney General.
Thanks for watching, guys.
That we have in place, any modifications or adjustments made need to be made with bipartisan support, stakeholders.
Well, as Attorney General, I'm going to stand up for your Second Amendment rights and your constitutional rights. And as I've said publicly before, and as I filled out in gun surveys, including the NRA survey, which I have an A rating from the NRA, I believe due process needs to happen. I don't think it's fair or legal or constitutional to just have people come make a complaint, and then have someone take your guns away. That's against your Second Amendment. It's against due process. So I am always going to err on the side of due process when it comes to your constitutional rights.
Question is, how can a Democrat win? Well, the only way a Democrat can win in Kentucky is by clearing up the serious corruption problem at the very top of the Kentucky Democratic Party, KDP. I have been fighting for 4 years. I ran for...
Our apologies. Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can. Thank
All
you
right.
so much.
I ran for governor in 2015 against Jack Conway. And if this is working, he didn't have to cheat in 2015, but he did. This year we have a conspiracy of Democrats that includes Andy Beshear and Adam Edlin, and they are crooks. They are rigging this primary election like they've done for the last 4 years. They do not believe in democracy within the Democratic Party.
Time, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.